Welcome, heroes, legends, and warriors of Sanctuary. My name is OmniFlash, and I am your guide to Diablo Immortal. In the new update, Blizzard has nerfed Spark Tusk, making Spark Tusk barbs a little bit less effective, making this build, in my opinion, the best PvP build for Barbarians. Let's take a look. We have a new offhand called Flicker Tone, and it pretty much replaces your primary attack with a huge hammer. I don't even like calling it a hammer. It's more like a huge mountain. We're going to take a look right here. This blue circle is how large our Hammer of Ancients hits. Alright, so down comes the hammer. 65k and 69k damage. 65k to Yetzi, 69k to Not Tootsie Bee. Another hammer's coming down. 69k, 73k. Now the hammer does charge up very quickly. It charges by each bit of damage you deal. Alright, so that's another hammer, 58k. Now here comes Bridget, which is DH coming a little bit too close. 58k on Not Tootsie Bee. Bridget focusing me. I'm taking a lot of damage. Alright, let's go. One more hammer. And Bridget's slightly too close. Let's take a look. It's about a hit. 281k on Bridget. 82k on Not Tootsie Bee. Not Tootsie Bee goes down. Bridget lost a good 70% of the HP. 285k. 281k on Bridget. Now, melee characters do have more defense. However, what's interesting about this, it turns your barb into a ranged character, but you're just as tanky as any other barb. That is what, in my opinion, makes this build so good. This is the ultimate AoE Barbarian. This area effect damage is so huge, it covers the whole idol and then some. It's bigger than the idol. The circle of the damage area is bigger than the idol. It is just ridiculous. People are gonna say, oh, it's because your resonance is too high. Your resonance is huge. I am playing at 4.8k resonance. Not Tootsie Bee, Yezi, all of these people, they're much higher. They're like 6.5, 7.5. Maybe they do have someone on their team is at least 8k. We'll see at the end of this battle. We can check on who are what k. But I'm playing at 4.8k, and we are destroying players that are 6.5, 7.5k resonance. Now I at the beginning of the battle, sometimes I like not attacking the statues. I just rush straight into the enemy's team. Being a barbarian, you can do that, and because I have 6-piece Banquet of Eyes, if I don't touch any of the statues, I just run directly into the enemy, I'm able to proc my 6-piece Banquet of Eyes attack, my rage, the Banquet attack, poison rage, and that is going to deal a ton of damage to whatever group of enemies decides to meet me at that choke point. And you know, I went in. One death. Enemies. One of them died, and I escaped to heal up because barbarians are durable. I also have Savior. I am actually using something a little different. I'm using a Stormlost pet. I'm trying to see if I can get my Stormlost. My Stormlost, it provides stun. So I have a Savior Stormlost pet. and it can stun the enemies. The eternal gear for the Hammer of Ancients is you get like 40% extra damage, crit damage, if your enemies are stunned. So if my Stormlost is able to stun my enemies, it should be some massive, massive damage. Alright, so I will have the full build after this battleground. So after about 5 minutes, I will show you legendary piece after legendary piece, all of my reforges, Paragon. Paragon is going to be Gladiator. I will have the rest of the Paragon up for the second half of the video. Alright, so I'm on this side, and we have Gash Basher. I think he's using Spark Tusk for the buff removal. I'm currently running Heartless Terror, which makes it so that I cannot be CC'd. It's a hat called Heartless Terror. If your enemies are primarily Barbarians, then you could change the hat to Spark Tusk so that you can remove their Undying Rage and all of their buffs. So this build, if you go into battlegrounds, check out your enemies. If the enemies have a lot of Barbarians, change your hat from Heartless Terror to Spark Tusk so that you can run in and remove all of their buffs using Demoralize. Alright, so Not Tootsie B is running away. He's trying to heal. I'm not gonna let him heal. So he's gonna have to he was going to dash in, deal some damage on Gash Basher and get out, but he wasn't able to get out. Oh, I was able to deal quite a bit of damage onto Bridget. Bridget was saved by probably a savior pet. Not too bad. Alright, let's go. Let's go. What's also great about this build is you have Sprint. With Sprint, you're able to get back into the battle so quickly. You're able to chase down Demon Hunters. Now right here, Demon Hunter came close. And, I mean, I already showed you at this beginning of the video. This 2-kill right here. It's because the hammer, the AoE of the hammer is this huge circle that's in front. It's like a huge circle. It's not a cone shape. It's just a big meteor that falls down in front of you with every single hammer hit. Now, if you look at my Hammer of Ancients skill, the way you tell if your hammer is charged up is from the blue lines that go around the skill. It charges up, and when it's fully charged, the attack deals maximum damage, as well as has a larger radius. I tend to spam the hammer. It is a spammable skill. When my enemies are close, I don't actually necessarily. If I'm in range, I do spam the hammer. What charges the hammer? Now, every attack that you do, so basically any type of damage you do will charge the hammer. So if you have gems that are dots, if you have a gloom, a ranged gloom, if you have a gloom legendary gem and shoots out little waves and that hits enemies, that charges it. Rolling consequence, the burn charges it. Actually, the frost damage on my sprint, the fire from my sprint, that charges it. Any type of damage that you deal on enemies charges it. Also, whenever I hit Demoralize and I hit enemies with my Demoralized shout, that charges up the hammer. So any type of damage you deal will charge up the hammer. Like right now, I have a fully charged hammer, and it smacks. It smacks. And what's great about it is it has a huge, incredible range. I'll just go in, and your goal is to hit as many targets as possible at max range. If the enemy is a melee unit, there's not too much they can do when you're at max range and moving all the time. You want to stay moving because regular normal attacks cannot hit you if you are always moving. So always try to move around so that other melee heroes cannot hit you. And what's great about the hammer is that the hammer is a skill, not a primary attack. So your hammer is able to smash moving enemies. That is super, super great. Alright, so we did pretty good. We did pretty good. We are facing, I'm at 4.8k resonance, and we are facing some big players. Not 2CB has 7.4k resonance. Vec has 6.6k resonance. Savage Friend has 8.3k resonance. Okay, now let's get into the build. The first part of this build would be the hat. The hat is the Heartless Terror hat. This makes it so that you can't get stunned, you can't be slowed, and even if you are stunned, if you hit Demoralize with this hat on, with Heartless Terror, it will remove the stun and you'll be able to get away. So it is absolutely amazing. You will want to pair Heartless Terror with the offhand called Dishonored Blade. Dishonored Blade makes it so that your Heartless Terror hat, the anti-CC, anti-crowd control, it makes you so that you cannot be stunned 39% longer. So it will make it so that you are pretty much uncontrollable, right? It says uncontrollable means no one can stun you, no one can CC you, no one can freeze you. You just run straight through and you can hammer your enemies. That is super, super nice. At the beginning of a battlegrounds, you're able to look at your enemies, and if your enemies don't have a lot of freeze wizards and they have a lot of barbarians or a lot of satyrs, you can change the hat to Spark Tusk. And the Spark Tusk hat, you, instead of the anti-CC hat, you will be able to run to an enemy and strip them from all of their buffs. And this can remove Undying Rage. It can remove invincibility from satyrs. The pants you want would be Snowdrifter. This will slow your enemies. It makes a sort of like frost effect on your enemies. And this is nice because it will empower your hammer to deal more damage. We also want Hell's Legacy, which will put down burn on the ground, and as your enemies run over the burning ground, they'll take damage, and that will help charge up your hammer. So all of these pieces are different ways to take more damage onto your enemies and charge up your hammer to deal more damage. Flickerton is the new offhand, which has this hammer which replaces your primary attack. It becomes a huge AoE, so you are now a crowd-destroying monster. If you imagine Mario getting that hammer in Donkey Kong, this is it. You just got the hammer and you just destroy everything in front of you. The chest piece you need is called Renitent Rage. Renitent Rage will increase your hammer damage by 76%. If you're using all the pieces on this build, you'll be burning your enemies, frosting, chilling your enemies. If you have like some dots coming from your gems, just so many different effects will cause your hammer to deal 76% more damage. So more damage for every negative effect. So you got poison from Viper's Bite or Seeping Bile. All of those will help you build up so that your hammer does 76% more damage. Next, we have Rage Caller. Rage Caller is electrified and slows your enemies' movement by 50%. It also decreases the cooldown on the hammer. This way, you'll be able to spam that hammer and slow your enemies with the hammer. And lastly, you will want Stonefall. Stonefall is really nice and increases Hammer Ancient's damage by 19%. For curse properties, you will want 6-piece Atrophied. 6-piece Atrophied will, whenever you do continual damage, you will spawn a big circle that does continual damage, and that will fill up your Hammer Ancients, make your Hammer Ancients deal more damage, and also make it larger. We also want 6 set of Banquet of Eyes. Every 40 seconds, you get a huge damage burst. Plus 4 set of Banquet of Eyes gets you extra crit chance. Vithus makes it so that all your buffs last 30% longer. That makes all your buffs last 30% longer. Your Undying, most importantly, is 30% longer. Eventually, you will want to try and develop a mental timer of every 40 seconds. You will gain Poison Rage from Banquet of Eyes. Alright, so just like when I started the match, I didn't want to attack anything until there was a group of enemies in front of me. And then you engage the group of enemies and disperse your Poison Rage, which will last 12 seconds, and just wreck everyone's HP during that 12 seconds and try and escape alive. For this build, I just went for damage, attack speed 2%, beneficial duration, crit hit damage, skill damage, and primary attack damage. To be honest, I probably should change primary attack damage to something else. Comment below, let me know what you think I should use instead of primary attack damage. Tremor doesn't really work because I don't primary attack almost at all. Jolt is an option. Jolt is an option, but I just try it a little bit extra damage. I know everything is 1/3. So yeah, I mean, if you have 2% attack speed, it's not really 2% attack speed. In battlegrounds, it is actually 0.6% attack speed, but you do have 8 pieces, so I guess it adds up. But it's just a small boost that's consistent. Jolt is still a very good option, though. Jolt family bonus. Next, we have the Gladiator Paragon. You want Cheap Death, First Aid, Combat Veteran, Grizzled Veteran, and Overpower. I also use Benefactor. Benefactor gives you a shield whenever you use a buff, and sometimes you can even shield your teammates, which is extra good. Thanks everyone for watching. Please like and subscribe. It really helps me out. If you need anything, just comment below, and I'll see you in the next video.